Okay, so today we are going to go over TAP to TAG. TAP is your transfer admission planner, and that converts to TAG, transfer admission guarantee. And this is information for those of you that are interested in submitting your tag for fall 2025. So we apply a year in advance. So this is if you're interested in being at the university this time next year. So the overview that we're going to go over today, we're going to go over what is tag, the different tag criteria, where the campuses that you can tag, the transfer admission planner, how to review it, and then the actual tap to tag submission. So what is transfer admission guarantee, also known as tag? It is available at 6 UC campuses, and they offer guaranteed admission for California community college students. So you are all our California community college students who meet a certain level of criteria. And basically they're saying, if you meet this level of criteria, you're going to get a guaranteed admission for next fall. By participating in TAG, students will receive early review of your academic records for UC Davis, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Merced. So those campuses will actually let you know by November if your tag was accepted. The other campuses do not, even though you can still submit your tag, they just prioritize those applications in the spring. So what sometimes students say is like, oh, but I submitted a tag to Santa Barbara. Well, if there was no counselor review and they didn't tell you, you could have had a 2.2 GPA. No, anybody can submit a tag, but it doesn't mean that your tag was accepted. Um, Campuses will provide guidance in major preparation and GE coursework. UCSC actually just stated at the conference that I was at yesterday that if your tag is denied, they'll actually make a one-on-one appointment with you and review it and have you make the appropriate adjustments for you for November to submit your UC application. And that's really what's really important for tag for us is it's kind of like a safety net for you all. We're going to look, you're not required to come see academic counselors. You're not required to check in with us to make sure you have the right requirements. But if you submit your tag, we're going to be behind the scenes looking at it, making sure that you did it correctly and you have all the requirements that you need. So what part campuses participate? So once again, it's just for the UC system and it's not offered in every single major. So our 6 campuses are the only 6 campuses TAG participates in: Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and UCSC. UCLA, UC San Diego, and UC Berkeley do not participate in TAG, but you can always apply there through general admissions. Students may apply to only one participating UC campus. And like I said, not all majors. So what you don't want to do, I know both of you are STEM students. Say, for instance, UC Davis doesn't do computer science. What you don't want to do is like, oh, I'm going to get my tag, but I'm going to do an art history major, so I get my tag accepted. You can't switch it once you get there. So you want to go in your participating major. Sometimes the GPAs are a little too low for tag, and that's okay. We still encourage students to apply through general admissions. And if you apply to a tag school with that major, you also have to submit your application in that major. They have to match. You can't switch it between September and November. Students are still encouraged to apply to other UC campuses during the regular application cycle. Even though your tag is accepted, that does not mean that you still have to do the UC application. So it's a 2-step thing. So even though UCSC is like, great, tag's accepted, we can't wait to see you, you still have to do the UC app in November. So who's eligible? California community college students who've completed 30 semester units at one or more California community colleges, and last attendance was a regular session at CCC. Pretty sure you two are in that situation. And did you only go to Cabrillo? Awesome. Perfect. Students that are not eligible, students already have a bachelor's degree. Students that went to the UC maybe after high school and then came to Cabrillo, now want to go back to the UC, they cannot do tag. And dual enrollment students currently in high school, they should just apply through regular admission, most likely a freshman or transfer. So what is the different criteria? And this is what's really important. So you have to complete at least 30 UC transferable units through summer of 2024. So everyone has to have 30 UC transferable units. By the end of spring of 2025, you need 60. You have to meet the certain GPA requirements at the time of application. So really that's just the GPA requirement by the end of summer because we don't know what your fall grades are by the time tag or applications are due. Some schools have selective majors which require progress on the student's major courses. This also includes GPA requirements in major specific courses. So Davis is everyone that's geo. Davis is really notorious for this, where they want a certain GPA in a subset of courses, along with another GPA for a cumulative GPA for tag. And a counselor can help you go over that. Most of them want specific progress and completion in English and math. So they want your English 1A and at least one of your transfer level math courses done. And some other ones have certain details, and we can find that on the website. So this is the GPA. So UC Davis by the end of, and see how they differ, most of them by the end of summer. So UC Davis, depending on your major, they want a 3.2 or a 3.5 cumulative as of right now. UC Irvine's a 3.4. UC Merced's a 2.8 to a 3. And why it varies is every major has a different standard. Also by summer, UC Riverside 2.7 to 3.3 by the end of summer 2024. UC Santa Barbara 3.4 by the end of fall. Remember, Santa Barbara doesn't do that preliminary evaluation. So they're just like, hey, get this 3 in by fall. We'll prioritize your application in the spring. And then UCSC is a 3.0. So those GPAs are really important. Sometimes what we have to do, especially like for these higher level ones like UC Davis, the student doesn't have, say, for instance, the 3.2 for their bio, and I'm just making this up. I'm not sure if bio is 3.2. We would say, okay, why don't you tag to UCSC and just do general admissions for UC Davis? So we kind of strategize that way. And since we're recording, let's wait for the questions at the end. So I'm not pausing if that's okay. So the UC admissions criteria. So all students have to complete this, complete 60 units by the end of spring 2025, have a cumulative GPA for as 2.4. As we saw on the screen before, a lot of those are much higher than a 2.4. You need to have the 7-course pattern. This is really for STEM majors because most other majors have all of their GE done. 2 courses in English composition. So often that's English 1A and English 2. 1 course in mathematical concepts and quantitative reasoning. STEM majors have more math, but other majors just need 1 math course. 4 courses between 2 of the different areas. So you can have 3 arts and humanities and then 1 social and behavioral science. And major preparation for most majors. So before you start your transcript evaluation input into the TAP program, it's important to have all unofficial transcripts basically in your hand. Please do not use student planning. Student planning has non-credit classes, TA courses that are not necessarily on your transcript, and it's going to look funky. So you want to download your unofficial transcript. We can also print that out for you today and go off that. So if you have AP scores, you want your Cabrillo transcripts, or if you have any other courses from GAV or MPC or Hartnell, you'll want to have those in hand as well. Talked about reviewing the UC requirements, and then we want to think about 1 university to tag to. So the TAP is actually a free tool that you could have started at any time during your academic journey through here. So you'll want to create a UC TAP account. And it's going to ask you some demographic information. It's going to ask you for your Cabrillo ID. This is really important to remember what your login and password is for this, because you're going to be connecting your UC app to your TAP later on. So you don't have to do all of that course entry again. So they talk to each other, which is really cool. So you want to create an account. The sections on the TAP, they're going to go over some about me, some personal demographic information, maybe some questions like if you were in MESA or if you were in EOPS, some of your support programs. It's not going to hinder, or it's not, basically TAP is really just looking at your GPA and your grades right now. They're not looking at all of those other holistic things that they'll look at during the UC application. Your transfer plan, so all of your coursework. And then there's some messages. So you'll want to be checking this, because counselors, once you submit, or even once you start it, counselors are going to be messaging you like, hey, you forgot this class, or hey, it looks great, or hey, let's actually have a conversation about this. So you'll want to make sure that you message that. I also send messages through there saying like, hey, we have a workshop today, come visit us, we can help you. Hey, the tag deadline's coming up, make sure you come in. So make sure you're checking those messages as well. So in the about me, I kind of went over this already. Personal, demographic information, any support, involvements. Demographic information includes primary language, residency, if you've been in foster care or part of our Guardian Scholars Program, your parents' level of education, household income. This is really just data for the UC. Who's submitting tag, what students are coming in, how can we support them? Really important to put your Cabrillo student ID number on there because that's how we search you. So if you come into my office and we make an appointment, I can't find your tag and tell you unless you put that accurately. So make sure that you put that in there. They'll ask for your schools attended. So they'll ask for what high schools. They will not ask for your high school coursework. They don't care about that. They just want to know what schools you attended, from what dates you were there, and what's your graduation date. For Cabrillo, they'll ask the same thing, your dates attended. For those of you that did dual enrollment, that's your first semester. It's not really your first semester that you were matriculated here. So your first full-time semester. It's when you first started taking classes here at Cabrillo. Whether you complete an associate degree or an associate degree for transfer, if you're not sure, a counselor can help you with that, and your expected graduation date. If you're not sure that you're going to graduate, you're not sure that you're going to be eligible for a degree, that's okay. It's not going to hinder this application. It's really the CSU that's looking for that, not the UC. Then you're going to enter all of your courseworks, especially your AP and IB exams as well. So really want a comprehensive overview. So this is what the high school will look like. You put in your high school, it should come up, especially if you went to a local high school. Sometimes it gets a little weird if you were homeschooled and there's like, it's just kind of, we have a lot of non-traditional high schools, I guess, in this area. You want to put Cabrillo, you put in the dates, we'll check those for you. Then you start listing classes. What's really cool with this system is you're not going to have to type in English 1A, college composition. If it's a transfer level course, a UC transferable level course, it's going to automatically be on that list and you're just going to click on it. So pretty simple. If it's not on that list, I want you to double check. There are some classes like Com 6. If you were here when Math 152 and Math 154 were offered, they won't be on that because they're not UC transferable. So these are only UC transferable courses. And I'll show you how to do it if they're not on there. It's also going to ask you for, there's different gaps in your in your time lapse. Not for summer necessarily, but if you took a semester off, especially like during COVID or even a year off, they just want to know what were you doing. What they're trying to see is that you're not hiding any grades. UC is very particular about that. They want to make sure that you're being transparent as possible. And they'll even ask, like I've had verifications where I've had to write letters for students saying they were actually in certain programs. So they do validate. So we want to be honest as possible. So they'll ask for any gaps. You don't have to, share what you don't want to share. You're working. Mom was sick. You're taking care of family obligations. That's it. They just want to make sure you're not hiding coursework. You want to list every single course, even if it's a substandard grade, W, Ds, and Fs. The system will recognize if it's a repeat. The system also, if you got academic renewal, you're going to put AR instead of the grade. But this is where it kind of differs from the UC and the CSU application. The CSU, you're going to put RP. UC knows that it's a repeat, so it's going to do that calculation for you. You also, this is one error that a lot of students make. You want to make sure that you include all in progress and planned courses. So they forget to put their in progress and planned, and all of a sudden they don't have the 60 units or they're missing the major prep. So we want to make sure that you put in progress classes, so the classes you are, and even what classes that you're planned for spring. We want it as accurate as possible. We understand that we don't know really if you're going to get an art history 16 or 17. That's not a big deal. What they really want to make sure is you're in the right major prep courses and those aren't shifting. So this is kind of the example. So I would type in the semester, I would put in Cabrillo, I would put in the discipline. So this is the psych, and then it would come up with all psych classes. And then I just click on it. I'll do the right unit value and that it's transferable. If you manually enter in them, your transferable units are going to be off, and we don't want that. We don't want to cause any extra work for the evaluators when they're looking at this at the university. So you select the term, select the school, you type in the subject, and if it's not on there, you go, my course is not listed, so you're going to add it here. But you're going to look as hard as you can and make sure it's on there. You're not just putting like I don't know, missing the H off the psych or something like that. So just double check that majority of your courses should be automatically on here. So I kind of went over that. You want to add it now, then you add the course number and the title, the units, but most of your classes should be on there, so we shouldn't be using that. Now, if you had external transcripts and you went to University of Nevada, Reno first, and then you came to Cabrillo, we would have to manually enter those in. These have all the classes that are on Assist. And what's really cool also is that it shows your GPA. So then that's also something that we can check to make sure you did all the courses correctly. You'll want to add your AP scores, anything with a 3 or higher, because that's what you get credit for. AP, IB, most students don't have CLEP. So you want to make sure you add those because those are counting toward your minimum units or counting as your first UCE. So you have to make sure you want to list all of those. And it'll also show you your 7 course patterns. So right here, it'll show you your 2 English compositions, your math, and any additional general education. So it's a pretty cool tool. Then that's the TAP portion of it. And then you convert it into a tag. So the next screen, you're going to choose your community college, which is Cabrillo. You're going to choose the term you intend to transfer. So for everyone here, it'd be fall of 2025. And then you're going to choose your campus and your major. Then you pretty much hit submit. That's pretty much it. That is the first step. That is due September 30th. The earlier you guys get it done, the better. They've made some significant changes to the TAP. Before, we had 15 days after September 30th where I could say, hey, actually you made this error. I'm going to revoke your tag. I want you to make these changes and I want you to resubmit it. They don't allow us to do that anymore. So if you get it in early, we can check it so that we can actually give you any guidance. You can also come to our workshops, which we will be in all of them. We'll show you the dates for those. And we can check that. I would encourage you all to get that checked by a counselor before you hit submit it. It's just going to increase the likelihood you'll get accepted. So that is the first step. Oh, we have some more. So the next step after this is you're going to go to a help session. You're going to hopefully submit it before September 30th. The UC application starts opening on October 1st. You can start working on it right now, but the submissions don't start until October 1st. We don't really encourage students to submit the UC app that early. So kind of different from TAG where we want to do it early so that we can evaluate it. UC app, we kind of want you to wait till maybe mid-November because then we register for classes and we can really make that list as accurate as possible. What makes the UC application is your TAP, right? Your whole transfer academic history and your personal insight questions. So those are 4 essays, short 250-word essays that you're going to submit with your UC application. No resume, no letter of recs, no letter, recommendation, no college report, nothing like that, just grades and your responses. And those are things that you can start looking at now. It doesn't hurt to start looking and kind of brainstorming what you're going to write about. We will have workshops for all of that. We'll have workshops for the application. We'll have workshops for the CSU application. We'll have workshops for the personal insight questions. We'll go over a strong response, maybe a not so strong response. You can make an appointment with a counselor and we can review them. So I know this, you guys have worked so hard to get here and I'm so proud of you, but don't feel like you were alone in this process. We're all here to help you. And then in January, so you submitted by November 30th, that actually just changed. So they moved it to December 2nd because the holiday. Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. We're closed on Friday and the 30th falls on that weekend. So they did it to the next Monday so that students can get support. And then the next step, which is very important because your application can get canceled, is you go in January and you update your fall grades and any changes to your spring schedule. Pretty quick update, probably takes less than 5 minutes, but it's like the second part of the application. And that's due January 31st. Okay. That is it. We hope to see you all at a workshop and before September 30th.